All right, let's dive into a case that's gone cold for decades. Today, we're going to break down the unsolved mystery surrounding the disappearance and murder of Alberta Williams.
In my heart, I know who's responsible. I mean, wow, that's a really powerful statement, right? It comes from Gary Kerr, one of the original investigators on the case. And that single sentence, it just hangs over this entire story. It suggests the answer might be a lot closer than anyone imagined.
So that really brings us to the core question we're trying to figure out here. After 27 long years, and with some pretty strong suspicions right from the start, how is it possible that her murder is still unsolved? Why has there never been justice for Alberta?
Okay, so to really get a handle on this haunting case, we have to start with the person at the very center of it all.
So, let's talk about Alberta Williams. Back in 1989, she was just 24 years old. People who knew her said she was responsible, really looking forward to her future, and had plans to go back to school. She just finished a summer job at a fish cannery, and she went out to celebrate. You know, it was supposed to be a fun night, but tragically, it was the last time her family ever saw her alive.
So what exactly happened in those final hours? The key to this whole mystery, really, seems to be locked in the timeline of that one Friday night in Prince Rupert.
Okay, so here's the scene. Alberta's at a local bar called Bogey's. She's with a big group of people, friends, family. Her sister Claudia is at another table, kind of keeping an eye on things. As the bar is about to close, Alberta calls over to her, "Hey, come with us, we're going to a party." Claudia turns away for just a second, maybe a minute tops, and when she looks back, Alberta is gone. And not just Alberta, the entire group she was with. Everyone at that table had just vanished.
And this is so crucial. These weren't strangers she was with. This was her inner circle. We're talking about her cousin, her close friend, and her husband, and her uncle by marriage, Jack Little. These were the very last people known to be with her, so naturally, they became the absolute focus of the initial investigation.
I mean, just listen to her sister's words. You can feel that panic, right? The sheer confusion. It's not just that Alberta left. It's that an entire table of people disappeared into thin air in what felt like seconds. It makes no sense at all.
And this, right here, is where the official investigation kicks off. And what's really incredible about this case is that we have a unique window into how it all went down, thanks to the lead investigator's personal records from all the way back in 1989.
You know, a police notebook is basically an officer's real-time diary of a case. It's where they jot down everything as it happens. And the thing is, Gary Kerr kept his. These notebooks are absolutely invaluable because they give us this raw, unfiltered look at the evidence and his gut feelings as the case was unfolding, long before memories had a chance to fade or get distorted.
So the police started exactly where you'd think they would, with the people at that table, the people Alberta was last seen with. That was ground zero for this whole investigation.
And pretty quickly, the focus started to narrow. Remember, Alberta had specifically told her sister they were going to a party at Jack Little's place. And Jack Little, her uncle by marriage, was sitting right there at the table with her. He was a direct link.
And check this out. This is a direct entry from Gary Kerr's notebook. He writes that when he interviewed Jack Little, Little appeared very nervous, almost scared. And then he says Little claimed, "You have to understand that I have a bad memory 3 separate times." I mean, talk about a red flag. That kind of behavior, you better believe it put him right on the investigator's radar.
But this investigation was anything but straightforward. Because as the police started questioning everyone else from that table, their stories started to clash. The waters got very muddy very fast.
And you really have to appreciate the challenge here. I mean, we're looking back after 27 years. Over that much time, memories get warped, details get blurry, and finding the actual truth becomes incredibly, incredibly difficult.
And here was the biggest contradiction of all. One person from the group suddenly claimed that Alberta left with some mysterious Caucasian guy with long blonde hair driving a pickup truck. The problem? Nobody else saw him. Not the bar staff, not her sister Claudia, not a single other person. Both Claudia and the lead investigator, Gary Kerr, felt pretty strongly that this story was a complete fabrication, a deliberate distraction to throw the police off the real trail.
So you've got this suspicious behavior on one hand and these totally distracting stories on the other. How on earth did this trail just run cold?
Well, it came down to a few key things. First, some witnesses, and this includes family members, were just not cooperative. They were reluctant to speak with the police. Second, you had that blonde-haired man story that just muddied everything up. And third, and this is huge, this was 1989. Forensic technology was a different world back then. There was no DNA analysis to rely on. So with no new leads coming in, police resources eventually shifted to newer cases, and this one just stalled out.
About 3 weeks after she vanished, Alberta's body was found, and the location, it adds another deeply tragic layer to this whole story. She was found along Highway 16, a stretch of road that has since become infamous as the Highway of Tears. It's named that for the shocking number of women, many of them indigenous, who have been murdered or have disappeared along that very route.
The scale of this tragedy is just staggering. You have to understand, Alberta's case isn't an isolated incident. She is one of nearly 24 women who've gone missing or been murdered along this one stretch of highway. And just look at the numbers. Out of all those cases, only a tiny handful have ever been solved. So this isn't just about one cold case. It's about a horrifying pattern of violence and a profound lack of justice that has gone on for way too long.
But here's the thing. Despite the location, the lead investigator Gary Kerr doesn't actually believe Alberta was the victim of a serial killer. His theory, based on everything he saw and heard back then, is that this was personal. He thinks something happened that night among people she knew, something that just got terribly, horribly out of hand.
And so here we are. The key to this entire case almost certainly lies with the people who were at that table. But now, after all these years, with witnesses scattered and memories faded, and with that same reluctance to speak still lingering, you just have to wonder, will the silence that fell over that bar nearly 3 decades ago ever truly be broken? And will Alberta's family ever get justice?